Hey explorers, this is GeoB for the Geo Show, and right now I'm live in Mexico City. I want to show you something really cool. So when Mexico City was built, the contemporary Mexico City, by the Spaniards that conquered the Aztecs, they built over the old Aztec city. And we can see it here. It's the old cathedral, and you can see a lot of construction going on here. But I'm actually standing, we're on a catwalk here, but this is the old great temple of the Aztecs. And it's been unearthed. They're kind of excavating the place now, but you can see that there's still the remnants of the old serpents, and the coloration is still the original coloration on his head. But this temple was actually destroyed, and it was kind of turned into a big trash pile for many years. And it wasn't until just in the recent decades that they've been excavating the great temple. So you can hear a lot of construction going on, and there's some serpents, and over here at the front, if I can zoom in, there are two statues of frogs as well. And so the serpents and frogs were pretty important for this temple. And this is where we're at. This kind of leads into, you can see all the people coming in here, but you kind of walk through the archaeological site and then you go into the museum. So I'm going to learn a lot more about this particular location. But it's pretty wild because, and even the Aztecs, it wasn't just modern Mexico City. The Aztec city, this city was like the island city. It was built on an old lake bed. And even today, in recent centuries, parts of the city was sinking up to 10 inches a year. So, kind of take a walk. So this is pretty wild to think. You know, we're in the dead center of Mexico City right now. I can't. Some of it looks like obviously they've built in some of this is old. This is an iron and concrete covering right here, but this is an old monolith, and they tell the story. And I'm not even going to begin to try to pronounce the gods' names right now. But basically, if you can see the outline right here, this is a foot and the torso of a body. So these are the different body parts. And basically, the old legend was that these two gods that got in a fight, this is a losing god laying at the bottom of the temple. And this temple was mainly for the rain god, which I'll show you in a second. But you can kind of see how steep these steps were. I mean, this thing had to be quite the trek when it was full size and getting up here. So there were originally 8. These are replicas, but there's some inside the museum, the original statues, and they represent the stars. And all along they tell parts of the story and the different stages. So there were 7 stages of the Great Temple. And part of that was because, like I said, it was sinking, for one. And 2, there were lots of earthquakes in this area. And 3, there was a lot of flooding. So they kept, the Aztecs, before the Spaniards even got here, kept building it up. And here's some modern history. This is a water duct that was cut right through here in the early 1900s. And so this is about 6 feet wide. They just destroyed parts of this temple. And the catwalk is built right on top of it. So it goes all the way down. So this area right here was all cut through for this water duct. Zoom back out so it's not so shaky. And we can get see if I can get kind of in this picture here. But you can kind of see this is the, there we go. Okay, so this is the water duct that cuts right through the middle of the temple. And this was, and you can kind of see, one is they built this rooftop here to kind of protect the top, but you can kind of see how tilted this thing is. If I can try to hold this camera level. Sorry, I don't have my tripod to keep this steady right now, but you can kind of see how much this thing is sinking. I mean, it is pretty slanted right here, which originally it would have been even. All right, so we're up top here, and you can see we're right in the middle of Mexico City. And if you saw our Periscope from a few days ago, you know that part of the cathedral, the old cathedral, is sinking, partly because it's built on top of this thing. And it's long since been destroyed, but it's kind of hard to see, but there were two structures on top, and I'll show it in a second with the picture over here. There were two structures on top that aren't here anymore.
El resto del edificio se encuentra bajo el subsuelo de la ciudad. Los adoratorios son pequeñas construcciones independientes hechas de piedra, cubiertas de estuco y decoradas con pintura mural. Los documentos antiguos mandan en la parte superior de cada una de estos adoratorios en New York.
All right, so this here is the rain god. See, this camera doesn't do kind of well. Let me sit on the wall, see if I can get it steady. And you can kind of see him there. You can see not only did the Aztecs use it, but a lot in the current construction. I'm sure these were added here. But you can see that a very popular building material is volcanic rock. So, I mean, Mexico City is surrounded by volcanoes, and so there's lots and lots of volcanic rock available. But you can kind of see that these are different stages of the construction, so they kept adding it and making it bigger and bigger. And from this vantage point on this corner, so when you pan across, you're looking at about 2 centuries worth of construction on the Great Temple. And give it one good panorama around. All right, guys, that about does it. We're going to call it quits for the week, and so I can go learn more about the Great Temple and the Aztecs, so I can share with you guys next week. So if you're just joining, you don't know who we are, my name is Brandon. We run a program called GeoShow. So we are in Central America for 3 whole months. We're wrapping up week 1, and we'll be sharing all sorts of cool content and information with your classrooms via virtual field trips, photographs, videos, periscopes, virtual artifacts. I got a real box of artifacts going out this weekend, all kinds of cool stuff. So join, get involved, share it with people. Let's make this thing an awesome adventure. Until next time, I'm GOB, and you've been watching The Geo Show.